Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for making the time, especially if you're in the middle of a busy week. So I appreciate you being here. I'm Nazeef, product owner here at Easter, and today we're walking through Pick and Pack by Order. A quick word on the format so you know what you're in for. I'll start with the problem we kept hearing about from our clients. Then we'll get into a live demo of the solution, and I'll finish with the benefits for this solution and where it's heading next. We'll leave time for Q&A at the end, so if something comes to mind during the session, drop it in the chat as we go and we'll pick it up later. One thing I want to say up front, this feature exists because the conversation we have had with store staff. It came out of client engagement teams. Teams telling us what was slowing them down day to day. That's genuinely how these get prioritized. So the same invitation applies today. If something in the session sparks a thought or there's a pain point we haven't covered, tell us. We always appreciate the feedback. So let's get into it. Cool. So let's talk about what it's like in a store today and how many of these issues we can recognize, because this is some of the things that we've picked up during our sessions. So to set the scene, you have one or two people working in a store. They're serving customers, restocking, fulfilling online orders. One of them might print out a pick list, head out onto the floor to pick the items, and come back with items for, let's say, around 4 different orders. Now, this is a small store, so either there's no pigeonholes because there's no space, or the pigeonholes are full. Next best thing most of the time is a free countertop, and then everything gets put down together on that counter. So then you have a pile of items or clothes, and the staff are then trying to work out which shirt or socks belongs to which order. Now, at that point, a customer walks in, and the staff have to decide to leave that order half sorted and go serve, or finish it and let the customer wait. You know that one of those two things is not getting done right because now their attention is split. And that's something that a lot of people experience. Then let's just say a same day order drops. Courier is going to be there in 30 minutes. To get that one order out, staff needs to build a whole new pick list. Find that order amongst everything else, pull it out and expedite it by hand. One urgent order amongst the process built for batching. And the one I hear about most, someone walks in to collect their order and the order isn't ready. So there's a moment at the counter where the staff is scanning the bench, looking through parcels, saying, give me a minute, or trying to get a new pick list so they can process that order while their customer stands there. Now, none of this is quite as dramatic as it sounds, or perhaps sometimes it is. But it happens almost every day and it adds up. And for some, this is exactly why people won't turn on ship from store at certain sites, not because you don't want that capability, but because of the chaos it creates on the store's floor. So, every time one of your team has to pick between the order and the customer, that's a real issue that they have to deal with on a daily basis. Moving on to the next one. So let's define what we just walked through, because those 4 moments are really 4 distinct problems. First one, like I just mentioned, is the customer. Every time a staff member is sorting a bench or chasing a parcel, the person at the counter or in the store is waiting. That's the one that actually costs you because it's part of what your customer sees. Second one, single urgent orders don't fit. So on-demand orders, same day, Uber, courier is already booked, or if someone shows up wanting their order straight away, to get that one order out the door, you're building a batch pick list and then unpicking it by hand, really. The process is fighting you on orders that matters the most. Third thing there is space. Multi-order picking assumes you've got somewhere to put things down and keep them separated. And no pigeonhole means everything lands together and gets sorted twice, which is actually costing you time. And the fourth one, as I mentioned previously, the quiet one, stores that never get switched on. So you've got sites that could be fulfilling, they're close to the customers, they're holding stock, and they're not available because you looked at the process and knew that the store staff won't be able to deal with the chaos it creates. Because what is important to a lot of people is the customer gets the attention of the store staff, not the other way around. And that is where situations like this is where your inventory stock is sitting idle. And here's the thing that ties all four together. This means your team is actually being slow. The process that we have currently was designed for a space with pigeonholes and dedicated pickers, and it's being run in a store with one bench and two people. It's not a staffing problem, it's more a fit problem. So that statement there, fulfillment process made for batch processing, is not quite suitable for every scenario. So what would it look like if the process actually matched the store? If we go to the next slide. So this is what we've come up with. One order, start to finish. You pick it, you pack it, it's done, and then the next one next one comes up for processing. So step one, select the order that you're doing. So the system serves up the next order based on their priority rules. Nobody has to build a pick list. Nobody's deciding what to work on. And if a same day order lands and you need it now, you can search for it and pull it straight to the front. Having to build a pick list that does things in bulk, finding that order, isolating the order by hand scenario, that just goes away. And step two is the picking. So one orders item on screen, scan them or key them in. If you're short, you record it as a short pick, and the stock is handled automatically as it does currently on your pick list. So the process is still the same for short picking, and you're not going to somewhere else to fix that afterwards. The allocation step also happens automatically. And step three, pack and dispatch. So this is where probably the biggest changes are, as the previous one as well. So the allocation will happen automatically. For delivery order, the consignment is created and the label is printed. So currently you have to go through and allocate stuff, you have to click through the confirm, and you have to go and select things from a list to print. And for this one, it all happens automatically for you. For click and collect, it's simpler again, just a packing slip is printed, and you can attach it as you're done. And that's the bit I want to emphasize before we get into the demo. This isn't just the same process with fewer orders on screen. We've taken the steps that you used to do with the allocation, the consignment, the label printing, and move them into the background so there's no actual manual steps needed now. So the only thing your team is now doing is picking items and putting them in the bag. Everything else kind of happens around them. So let's move to a live demo and I can show you exactly how that would work. Here we have our VRS showcase environment, and where pick and pack by order will sit is under the orders menu on the left-hand side. We've got this pick and pack by order. And as I open it up, I've got my dispatch point already selected, and here's an order that's ready for processing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the order that is available for processing will be dictated by policy. So highest priority orders will be shown first, and then it'll just work its way down the list. So your staff won't have to actually try and decide or think about what they need to do. So if I go in and go process order, you can see here the orders are on screen. On the left-hand side, we have a progress bar of where we are at with this particular order. And in here, you can either scan it, but I don't have a scanner right now, so I will just go and manually do it. This process can be automated via it. You can also see you've got select reasons. So if you don't find something, you can actually record and it does the short pick processes as it did previously. But here I can, mark things as picked. And once they're all done, I can just hit the apply button. And once it's applying, you'll see that you get a progress bar saying the order's being processed. You can see the pigeonhole number has been entered in because that's doing the allocation in the background. So it still follows the same process because we do have that thing in the background where it does need to go through the same stages, but now it's happening automatically. And once that's done, it comes back with just the print button. And if I go print, you can then see the packing slip. It will also have the label there if there is one. Get out of that. It asks for a tracking number. In cases where The tracking number is passed back. The system currently is set up without it. But yes, that tracking number will automatically populate as well. Once that's in, hit the complete button, just confirm that that's the courier ticket number. Okay, that's done. Next order. It's pretty much as simple as that. Now, if I go back to pick and pack by order, I've got this one right here. I can actually, I could have also looked up an order by number, and that would have come up here on its own. The other thing to quickly show is for a click and collect. So similar process, there's no changes. You got process order, you're picked, apply, and same day click and collect. Click and collect orders are pretty much simpler than the other one because it just has a location number that it puts it into. You can print the packing slip out, cancel that, and basically that's done, and you go into the next order. So yeah, that is pretty much how that's done. We wanted to keep it very simple, and as you can see, it is quite easy to just get through that and do that one by one. Now I'll go back to our our slideshow. So the next thing we can talk about is the benefits and what we actually realize from this process. So we had 4 problems at the start, and there are 4 things that change. First one, and it's the one that matters the most, is your staff can stay on the floor. An order takes less time and fewer steps, so it fits into the gaps between customers rather than competing with them. That moment where someone has to choose between the bench and the counter gets a lot rarer, and staff can confidently leave that order now and attend to the customer rather than worrying about where they'll be resuming from once they've dealt with the customer, because it's only one order at a time. And as you saw, it was pretty quick to get through as well. Second, on-demand orders, like I showed you, there's a search box there. You can enter your order number in there, which will bring up that order for you to process. So once that order comes up, you can go through that simple process, start to finish. You don't have to build a pick list where you batch process things. And if a courier is booked for 30 minutes time, it's now a normal task and not a scramble of having to try and do a batch pick list to build and unpick things out. Third, no space is required. So the space stops dictating your process. One order gets picked and packed before the next one starts. So there's nothing to mix up and nothing to resort. You don't need pigeonholes, and you don't need a sorting area. A bench is more than enough for one order at a time. And the fourth one, the strategic one, stores you ruled out for ship from store now become viable. That stock you already own sitting closer to your customer that you currently don't sell online, turning on even a handful of these sites changes what your network capacity can be and what you can do as a business. So the process can now adapt to the store needs so the store can do more. And before I move to the next one, I just want to emphasize at this point what I was talking about previously with client engagement. We know we have a process that works for fulfilling orders that has been working for quite some time, but it is through client engagement and going to stores that we saw an opportunity to create a streamlined process. So no matter what size store you're running, you now have a process suited to your need. So again, thank you guys for giving us your time in stores and feedback to learn more about what we can do to make the system more beneficial for you. Next up, what's happening next for this particular thing? I mean, it's already pretty cool as it is, but in the past webinars, I've spoken to you about UI updates that's coming up. So the first thing for this one is a UI update. We've got, the broader platform changes coming, and then pick and pack by order will be brought in line with those. It'll be the same workflow, but it'll be slightly cleaner experience and it'll feel consistent with the rest of the system rather than a screen that stands on its own. The second one is probably the one that's exciting and I'm more interested in your reaction to, and that's package selection. So there are, in that process that I showed you, there's a couple of our clients that do have a courier provider where they actually have to go to the courier provider interface to select a package to finish the job. So the process currently, if you are using that that courier provider, it does pop up a message to say you can open up the courier screen to select your package and it will bring you right back to where you were. But having package selection, we can do away with that process completely. So you're not going anywhere. You can choose the satchel within the screen that we've seen, and that then calls the aggregator and gets the labels that it needs. So you're not jumping into a second system. You are doing everything from the one place. So yeah, it takes that last manual handoff out of the flow. So if that's a pain point for you, you can tell us afterwards because that feedback is what moves this up the list. So that's what we had in store for you today. I'd like to move to Q&A now. And if you don't have any questions, thank you so much for joining us and for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.